This book is gross. Those last 100 pages were stressful. We started with maggots. That was unhinged. That was very unhinged. We're just not gonna tell the patrons until this vlog comes out. And I died. I don't know if it's even that funny. Oh my god. My heart is melting. I don't know what readathon gods were looking down on me this weekend. Hello everyone and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Mel and this is the start of the Peace Talks weekend. Realmathon is happening this month. I am a co-host of Team Shadows, and during Realmathon there is one 48-hour weekend where you are able to get 10 extra points towards your team for any book that you read during the weekend. I'm planning to go hard again this year. I have a huge stack of books sitting beside me of possibilities. I don't really know how I'm going to decide what I'm reading this weekend. Based off of the reading week that I had last week, which you guys already saw, I probably need a little mood reading in my life, so I think that that's what I'm gonna go with. I'll definitely show you guys what my priorities are and what I'm thinking of getting to this week. So let's talk about that really quickly. As I'm looking at this, there are just way too many that I would love to get to. Last year I got to 7 books, but to be fair, some of those were like 80 pages, and none of these are quite that short. But I think one of the first 2 that I'm gonna choose between is either House of Gilded Nightmares or Spindle of Life. Spindle of Life I think has a school setting, so I do believe I'm going to go with this one over House of Gilded Bones, and it's like a really dark gray, and Cassidy said we could use darker gray as a black cover, so this one will get me more points, but this is also still on the list. I also may do Court of Blood and Bindings. I started this one and only got like 20 pages in before needing to pick up something else, so I may just restart this and count it for Peace Talks. This is a fantasy romance, but the magic system in this is involving colors, and it's just really interesting. We've got like a brooding male, I think it's enemies to lovers, and I was really enjoying the setup, so I think I may restart this and potentially get to it this weekend. I also might try to do Water's Wrath by Elise Kova. This is the fourth book in the Air Awakens series that I desperately need to continue. Maybe I'll get a chance to squeeze this in. There are way too many books sitting beside me. Heartless Hunter, which is a young adult fantasy romance, enemies to lovers, is also a possibility. We have Butcher and Blackbird, which I do think I will be getting to because my patrons have voted for this for last week's vlog, and I didn't get to it. And then I also have 2 Darcy Coates books that are a possibility. One is The Hollow Dead, and then the other is The House Next Door. Both of these have pretty primarily black covers, especially if you take in the back, and buildings on the cover, so they would both give me a lot of options. This continues a series, but this is just one that I haven't picked up from her, and it's shorter, so may just see how much time we've got. And I think that those are like my priorities. A couple of others that I might pick up just if I'm looking for something different is A River of Silver by S.A. Chakraborty, The Sacrifice by Rin Chapeka, which is a young adult horror. Another young adult horror is The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland. And then the last one on kind of my radar at the moment is Hemlock Island, which has a building on the cover and is a horror novel. So this is my stack of very unrealistic possibilities. Let me see if I can, can I hold it up without it tumbling? Let's see. I can, go look at me. So this is my unrealistic pile of possibilities. I thought that I had nothing, so I wasn't even gonna film a TBR, and well, whoops, apparently I have more than I thought. So none of these though are like super short, like not a couple of hours short. I'm hoping 4. I would like to read 2 books a day. 4 would be nice. Now, is that realistic? Probably not, but 4 would be nice, so we'll see what happens. I am going to be starting in 2.5 hours. I have about 30 minutes left of my last read to finish up and be nice and snappy about it, and then I'm going to grab me some food and we are going to get started reading. I'm so excited for this weekend. It's so much fun. I do have a nail appointment tomorrow. We go about every 3 to 4 weeks, and because of mom's surgery, we had to push it further than we normally do, and so I have talons. And I'm so ready to get rid of these talons. I think I'm gonna go with either a purple or a yellow. I'm thinking a yellow though for spring. That's my thought. We'll see what we come up with tomorrow. But I'm going to finish up the last couple of things that I need to before the readathon starts, decide what the heck out of this possibility pile I'm going to read first, and I'm so excited to get started. Okay, so I've ordered dinner and I've decided what my first reads are going to be for Peace Talks. I have Nothing But Noodles, mac and cheese with chicken coming, and it's an adult kids meal and it's great. I love it, with extra breadsticks, of course. I just could not decide what to read at all, so naturally I chose something not on the TBR that I told you guys about 5 minutes ago. Cassidy and I were looking at things we might could buddy read, and she remembered that we actually got today the release of the 3 books of the Rob J. Hayes Kickstarter that we both backed back in like October. Basically, it is 3 trilogies spanning 3,000 years, and we got the first book in all 3 trilogies today, and 2 of those trilogies are like around 200 pages, and so I think we're gonna start one of those. I think we're gonna go with Demon, which is the 3,000 years ago, so there's like one that's 3,000 years ago, one that's 1,000 years ago, and then one that is present day, and then the present day one's kind of the main trilogy, and it's giving you like different information on the past and the world in each trilogy. I've never seen anything like this done before, and I'm so excited to pick it up and see how it's gonna work. You guys know that Eska is one of my favorite series, and Rob J. Hayes wrote the character that is Eska, so I'm very excited to pick up these new books. It could not have been better timing because literally they came through at like 11 o'clock this morning. Absolutely perfect timing. So once I've read a little bit of that, I will check in with you guys. First things first though, I plan to dig in to this pasta. I wanted to update you guys because I've gotten about 30% into Demon. About a young girl in a village just trying to do normal things. Her dad is like a woodsmith, and so she's learning like the art of craftsmanship and things of that nature when one day a group of villagers comes and accuses her dad of something, and they end up getting into a fight. But in the middle of this fight, demons start to come into the village, and there is a massacre, and she is taken by the demons to travel somewhere. This is giving me a mix of Daughter and the Beast and what is the one by Peter V. Brett, the Demon Cycle series? It kind of gives me a mix of those 2 books as of right now. I will say this book is gross. I mean, like some of the imagery in here is nasty. We have a tongue being ripped out. We have, yeah, it's like a little horror imagery honestly in here, and I think that I like that, but there's a lot of it. Right now, like I'm vibing with the story. I definitely want to know what's happening. I'm interested. I'm getting a little bogged down in kind of the how long we've been traveling because I really don't like travel. And I'm just waiting on them to like get to wherever they're going and get to kind of the plot because this is a trilogy that's supposed to help set up 2 more trilogies. So I expect there to be a little bit more to it than just demons come, grab people, take them to work in camps, try to escape. Like, I feel like there's got to be something more to it than that. I'm just waiting on that more to it than that to hit, but I am liking it. Obviously, I like Rob J. Hayes' writing style and kind of his version of storytelling, so I'm optimistic, but I'm bored at the moment. I have finished Demon, and I ended up liking this a lot. I really wasn't sure in the first half. Like the first couple of chapters were okay, and then we really lulled for like a quarter of the book in there in the middle. And then when we hit the second half of the book, things really started to pick up. The traveling stopped. I do not like traveling. So once we kind of got past all of the traveling scenes and we got to where they were going and they were kind of like in the demon kingdom, I guess. It's not really a kingdom, but in like where the demons are, then it got a lot more interesting. There was a different plot, and then the very end did feel slightly rushed to me. I do wish that there had been a few more hints along the way, a little bit more like leeway into that, but I was very interested in it, and I'm curious to see where the next book is going to go. I think that really set up what I expected like the herald and the main plot line to be, so I liked that part of it. I think that there were definitely some little things that I could see sprinkled throughout that perked me and was like, wait, I think this is going to matter. I think this is going to make sense as we go along throughout the story. So I liked seeing those little nuggets and wondering, am I right? Am I not right? Who knows? So yeah, I ended up liking this a lot. I think I'm going to end up giving it a low 4-star. There were problems that I had with it, especially with that first half. I did struggle, but I liked the second half enough that my enjoyment brought that up to a 4-star. As of right now, I'm going to tell you what my prompts will be. I can't submit this for the next like 45 minutes because I'm waiting on Cassidy to finish the book. We buddy read it together and she was just ever so slightly behind me. And one of the increasing prompts is a Cassidy fave. And I think I'm going to be able to click that, but I have to wait for verification on that one. So we are going to be getting 10 extra points for it being Peace Talks. We are going to get 10 points because it was 203 pages exactly, which is crazy. And then for our prompts, it's going to be, I think, a Cassidy favorite. It was a book that I paid for. It was a poll pick. I'm going to use Cassidy's Patreon poll because I was literally like buddy reading whatever won the poll with her. So essentially it was a poll pick for me too. So that's what I'm going with. It was new to my TBR. I literally got it today and then we did buddy read it. That ended up being at 14 points and then it does have a black cover. So total that got us a positive 44 points, I think, if I'm doing my math right. Positive 44 points for Team Shadows. So I think that that was a great first start. Definitely using those Peace Talk bonus points. Next up, I think I'm going to go with what won my poll for my Patreon read. They actually voted for this to be the last book of last week's vlog, but I just didn't quite make it, so I'm going to be using that, because I picked a bunch of shorter books for that one too, to choose my next read, which is going to be Butcher and Blackbird. I'm terrified of this book, but I've heard it's fun and funny. Like Lexi and Hannah were talking about it on Sprints and they said they were both like snorting out loud, laughing at it. I've heard the audiobook is fantastic. Other than that, I am going to probably go and get snuggled up in bed. Ollie has been trying to go to bed for the last 20-30 minutes. He keeps like every time I shift jumping up and getting all excited, and I'm like, I'm sorry baby, but I'm not getting up right now. So I am going to go get resituated in bed so this poor dog can lay down and go to sleep, because he looks pitiful right now. Ollie, are you ready to go to bed? You want to go to bed? You go to bed? Oh, hello. Hello. We've started with maggots. We've started with some very, very, very graphic, yummy maggots. It is raining, which is just like the perfect ambiance, but I wanted, let's try that again. I wanted to check in with you guys because I've made it about 70 pages into Butcher and Blackbird, and at first I was unsure. I was like, I don't know, is this gonna be too quirky funny for me? But as we continue to go on, I can see it. I'm intrigued. I'm having a good time. These two characters have really good banter with one another. Like I said, at the very beginning, I was like, oh, we're just gonna do a bunch of like sexual innuendos for no reason. But I feel like that laid off pretty quickly, and I'm having a lot of fun with this. And I will be the first to admit that I am surprised, but I'm really enjoying my time. Like I said, they have really good banter with one another. I just think that some of the balance between the quirky, like funny banter combined with the graphic imagery of the fact that these two are serial killers. They are like Dexter, and they're going against each other in like a competition element. So basically this starts off where Sloane, or Blackbird, has accidentally gotten herself stuck in a cell with the guy that she just killed. And he comes looking for the guy because he was actually planning to make him the target, and finds her in the cell after like 3 days and manages to let her out and takes her for barbecue. And at the time when they're getting barbecue, they decide to have this competition where they will wait a year and then they will meet up and see who can kill their target first. And it's just fun. I see the allure of this. I'm having a really good time with it, and I'm excited to continue reading. Honestly, I was gonna make this my last sprint, and I was just going to be like, it's fine, like I'll just go to bed, but I want to continue reading this. This is a lot of fun. It's friends to lovers, which is not usually my vibe, but because there's still enough banter between the two of them, even though they're like not at each other's throats, they still kind of feel like they're at each other's throats a little bit, so it's working for me. The back of it says, the viral Friends to Lovers dark romantic comedy full of murder, chaos, and sizzling chemistry. So far, murder, chaos, good chemistry. I can definitely agree with that. The audio is really good. It switches back and forth, like when the dialogue of the female character, when Sloane is speaking, it's the female narrator, and then the rest of it is narrated from Rowan's point of view, and then they'll switch. And so I'm really liking that narration style. I think that's a lot of fun, where it's like a true full cast, there's just two of them, but still a full cast audiobook. And I do think that reading along with it is helpful to keep like all of that straight, because my only complaint with the audiobook is that they are basically sometimes talking over one another, where the sentence or the narration, like not even a dialogue part, but the prose from the paragraph before is literally cut off early by someone's next dialogue. So that can get a little muddled if you're not reading along with it, but I'm having a really good time with this. I'm excited to continue reading it tonight, and we'll probably get up and start it first thing in the morning. Good morning, everyone. We are currently how many hours? 14 hours into the 48-hour Peace Talks readathon, and I have managed to get a decent amount done. I left you guys off last night being about halfway through Butcher and Blackbird. I'm having a great time with this. I'm still really enjoying it. Apparently there's a scene slightly after halfway that like Lexi really wanted my reaction to. She said it was hilarious, and so I have been banned from reading this when I'm not on sprints or can't at least film my reaction. So I had to switch books this morning, and because I'm listening to this book on Lexi's Audible, I think if I log out of her Audible and log into mine, I will be able to keep my audiobook that's downloaded, but I'm not 100% sure and I didn't want to risk it. So I was looking for another audiobook that I could listen to that was not on Audible because I'm going to be running a couple of errands. I have my nail appointment to get rid of these talons this morning. So I really wanted an audiobook while I was getting ready and driving to and fro. And I was looking to see what was on Scribd. I decided I wanted to maybe go with the Darcy Coates, but unfortunately The Hollow Dead does not have an audiobook yet. I think it's coming within the next 2 or 3 months, but I forgot that it wasn't out yet. So I looked at The House Next Door and I was like, yeah, I could do that. It's pretty short. I'll probably like it. But what was really calling to me was Where He Can't Find You. I've been excited about this book since I heard about it. I don't know why I haven't picked it up yet. And I was like, you know what? Screw it being a longer audiobook. It's 10 hours instead of the 5.5 that The Door Next Door was. I want to read it, so we're going to read it. This is her, like, official debut YA. I will say that Fullcroft Ghost did seem very young adult to me, so to me this is not like her first YA, but I think it's the first one she's calling YA. It is about this small town in Illinois that nothing really works well there. Technology's not great. Cars don't really run well. But there is a man that they call the Stitcher, kidnaps people, kills them, and then sews their body parts back together with red string. And there are a bunch of kids that are just trying to stay alive. They've got their rules. Then a new cop comes into town with his daughter, and we've got different points of view between the kids that have lived there their whole lives and this new girl that is coming in and trying to understand what's going on. That's all I've gotten to this so far. I just love the back that says, "Don't walk alone or the Stitcher will find you. Don't stay out late or the Stitcher will take you. Don't close your eyes or the Stitcher will remake you." I don't know. It sounds so good. Monica gave it 5 stars during 72 hours. I think Lexi really enjoyed it, gave it a 4 star. So this was calling to me. This is what I'm picking up. I did listen to it while I was getting ready this morning, and I got about 10% of the way through, about 50 pages. And I'm enjoying this a lot so far. I feel like Darcy's writing just continues to evolve and grow while still remaining very much so her. And it's been a lot of fun. We're mostly just in the setup, but I'm creeped out. I can feel this town. I can picture this small town where cars don't work well, and these kids are kind of running around at high school talking about things. I wonder if I can count this for school setting. Depends on how much time they spend in the high school, I suppose. But even though this is not really going to get me a lot of points for Team Shadows, it's not a black cover, it doesn't have a building, I'm having a great time so far, and I'm excited to continue this. There are also like little pictures in here, like comic book sections, which I think is a lot of fun. So I probably will switch over to this physically once I get home, but I need an audiobook, and I really like the audiobook for this, so this works out well. After that, I have no idea what I'm going to read. I have too many choices and not a very good way of narrowing them down, so I'm starting to regret this mood reading choice. I know some things that I'm in the mood for. I have my priority, but after that, I don't really know what I want to read, and so I don't know. Well, maybe we'll do Patreon polls. Patreon polls could be a good idea. We'll come back to that. We'll circle back to that, but I'm going to go get these talons taken off, change colors for spring, and I will check in with you guys in a few hours. What the heck was that scene? Was that the scene that Lexi was talking about? Because, like, that was unhinged. That was very unhinged. I have now finished Butcher and Blackbird. This book was so much fun. Like, it's unhinged in all of the best ways. Our characters are, I don't know, Sloane sometimes would grate on my nerves. She could be a little bit insecure, but at the same time, the more I thought about it, she's a little psycho, and it just comes across in everything that she does, and not in a she's crazy kind of way, but just, I don't know, it's just they were so endearing. Rowan was also very endearing. I liked their banter with one another. The moments of gross were gross. The moments of gross and hilarious were just everything that I needed. It was so much fun. I think that the main reason this is going to come down from a 5 to a high 4 for me is just that the romance at times would go on for a little bit too long, where it was just pure romance, no plot, and just very sweet. And I am not really a sweet, lovey-dovey, lots of sex kind of gal. Fortunately, this was a very, very slow burn, so the sex scenes didn't hit until the second half of the book. There were 3 of them for like 3 chapters that were not short chapters in a row, and I got a little bit bogged down in that. I'll be honest, I skipped a couple of those chapters because I was like, I just don't need this. So those kind of things I think is what brings it down from a 5 to a 4, but like I had so much fun with this. I would recommend it if you are looking for something quirky, funny, and also disgusting all at the same time. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like this just because like, I don't know, it's contemporary. It was a lot of fun. I don't really know what else to say. I feel like I'm not making any sense, but this was a lot of fun and I would recommend it for sure. So we need to submit our points. It was 323 pages and it got us points for Peace Talk. So that is a total of 20 points. I'm going to be defending. And then, okay, let's look at our prompts. It is a book that I paid for. To my knowledge, she doesn't use a pseudonym. Yeah, I don't think she uses a pseudonym. It's a popcorn read for sure. It has 16 letters in the title, so we can use it for an even amount of letters. This did win the poll for my patrons, so it's a poll pick. And then we need one more. It is new to my TBR. So it's gonna get us 14 points. Plus this is our cover color and it has buildings on the cover down here. So that is a total of 54 points, I believe. This is not a school setting, so I think it's just 54 points, which is excellent defense points for Team Shadows. Now I'm gonna be moving back into Where He Can't Find You. I managed to get probably 70, 80 pages while I was driving to and from my nail appointment, which I did get done, by the way. And I just want to sit down, I think, and maybe physically read this one now that I'm home, because I feel like I fly through Darcy Coates' books better physically, and a lot of times the audiobook, while it's really good, takes away some of the creep factor. And this one I'm not really noticing that because there are like little sound effects and stuff. Not really sound effects, but like if there's a scream, that kind of thing, which I was enjoying. So I might end up flipping back to the audiobook, but for now, I think I'm going to try it physically and we're gonna see how it goes. I'm currently halfway into Where He Can't Find You, and this is not what I expected it to be. I'm not disliking it, but I'm definitely I'm not loving it as much as I thought, because it's just not really what I was expecting. I was expecting this to be mostly about the Stitcher and the creepiness and like the imagery of this guy that kidnaps people and then they show back up with their body parts stitched together with string, but that's kind of the way that the beginning was. Now we're getting into more of a mystery style because Abby's sister Hope has gone missing. She thinks he was taken by the Stitcher, and so there's a lot of just trying to figure out what is going on, where she went. And I feel like the lore behind the Stitcher, they keep saying it doesn't really make sense, and it's because it doesn't really make sense. We've got this lore of like cars and cell phones not really working well, people not being able to leave, animals when they're born, if the Stitcher is active, they come out all twisted and wrong. That part is cool, but then we also have this other part of them being convinced that it's this guy in the town, like absolutely convinced, and then them being like, well, it's gone on over 100 years, so that means there must be copycats. So I'm just like, I wish it would make up its mind. Is it more of a supernatural? Is it more of real world? And whichever one it is, that's fine. But this whole back and forth, and even the characters acknowledging that it doesn't make sense, really doesn't make sense to me. So I'm hoping in the next half, all of that starts to have a really good explanation, because if it doesn't, I think it's gonna hurt my enjoyment a lot, because it just logically, I'm like, wait, that really doesn't make sense. So I'm hoping for some more creepy factor to it. This is very YA, the characters feel very YA, which is fine. Most of the time I feel like YA books do tend to be a little creepier because they're not focused as much on real world things. They're focused on the story itself. But right now I just feel like we've gotten into a little bit of a point where I'm still interested. I'm still wanting to continue reading it, but I'm definitely not creeped out. And most of Darcy Coates' books, I feel creeped out. So I'm losing that and missing that aspect of the story. I'm liking it. Like I said, I just want the creepy factor back. Okay, so I have finished Where He Can't Find You, and I ended up liking this one. I think think with me adjusting, so let me back up. I recently adjusted my rating system on my spreadsheet to very slightly broaden the range of my 4-star reads, because I found that I really wasn't getting a lot of 4-star reads, and things that were getting 3 stars in my spreadsheet, I would feel like I needed to adjust the ratings a little bit to get it to a 4-star because it felt like a 4-star. So I'm trying out this whole slightly adjusted scale. It's not a lot, it's like 0.2 of a point, but I'm hoping it will help give me a more accurate rating when I put it through the spreadsheet, because sometimes, most of the time, you have your gut rating. You know what it is when you finish the book. But there are those books, this one being one of them, where I'm just not 100% sure. I'm kind of waffling. I'm on the fence. Is it a 4? Is it a 3? Is it a 4? Is it a 3? Is it a 4? Is it a 5? Who knows? I didn't change my 5-star scale, but I did adjust it slightly, so we're gonna see if that ends up sticking. With that being said, on the new scale, this got the lowest it could possibly get to get a 4-star, and I did go back and kind of look at my different things and what I rated, like the characters, the setting, and I think it feels right to me. This is going to get a 4-star. I definitely had some issues with the pacing. It felt like it was a little bit too long. I had some issues with some of the logic points in this where I was like, no. But at the same time, this is a young adult horror. It's not really like, it makes sense, some of it, not all of it, but most of it makes sense within the context of the world that we've set up in here. So I think that it's going to get a 4-star. We did definitely get a little bit more of the creep factor as the book went on. I think the reason this is going to bump up to a 4 is for the last probably 100 pages or so. I thought that those were a lot of fun. It gave me the creep factor. It helped me understand what was going on a little bit better. And even though it still ends in Darcy fashion, it wasn't like the ending made sense. So I think this is gonna get a 4-star from me, which is good. I enjoyed it. I know I sound like I'm being very, very critical, but I did enjoy this book. Okay, so let's put it through, see what we end up with for Team Shadows. Sadly, this one is 395 pages. If it were 6 pages longer, we would get more bonus points, but instead I think it's just gonna get us 10 extra bonus points in pages, 10 for it being peace talks. So let's see. Cassidy did not read this one. She was supposed to have, but she didn't. If my camera battery dies, I will update you guys in the next clip on however many points this got, because I've got a little thingy. So it is a book I paid for. It's not a pseudonym. It wasn't a required read. It's a popcorn read. 18, it has an even amount of letters. I did read it in multiple formats, and I think that's about it. It doesn't give color or color items, so it's gonna get 32 points for Team Shadows. Not too bad, not too bad. Okay, I think I'm gonna go take a hot bath here in a few minutes and just kind of relax for the evening. I've got a poll up for my Patreons to decide what I'm gonna be reading next. Okay, so the camera rudely cut me off earlier, but basically all I was saying was that the patrons were going to be choosing my next read, and they did choose for me An Alchemist Vow by Helen Scher. This is like a really short 60-page novella that is, I think, a prequel to Blood and Steel. I didn't even know it existed, and Cassidy told me about it, and so naturally I had to stick it on the TBR because, for one, it's short, and two, I really liked Blood and Steel, and a prequel sounds very interesting. I'm curious what prequel entails, because I really don't know much else about it. It was free on her website when you sign up for her newsletter. I love it when indie authors do that. Tons of fantasy authors do that as well. So I'm going to be starting that. I'm gonna draw a really hot bath. I got a bath bomb on Thursday, which you guys probably saw in last week's vlog, and I just think that I need to treat myself tonight. So I've got my Kindle, and we're just gonna relax. Okay, I am changed, I am relaxed. That was a very green bath bomb. I was not expecting it to be electric green. I don't know why, because it was blue and it was yellow, and when you mix that together, you get green. But it was one of their Epsom salt, lemon, and was it lemongrass? I don't remember exactly what the smell was, but I tried to work out yesterday for the first time in a while, and I was feeling it today. I was definitely feeling it today. So Epsom salts bath bomb was exactly what I needed. I feel so much better. While I was in the bath though, I did manage to finish An Alchemist's Vow. This was very, very short, very quick read. It was about 60 pages long, and it basically just sets the stage for Blood and Steel. Do I feel like this short story is in any way, shape, form, or fashion necessary? No. But I think if you are looking for either just a little bit more of the world, or if you're just not really sure if you're gonna like Blood and Steel, but you kind of want to try out her writing and get a little bit more information on the characters and just see kind of what you think, then this might be a really good quick option for you. Wilder, who is the love interest, is not in this at all. He is mentioned, but we never see him, so you won't get to see their relationship with one another because this is set 6 years prior to Blood and Steel and directly is following events that we hear about in Blood and Steel and that play a pretty prominent role, but that we don't directly see. So basically, this is a world where there's a prophecy that a woman that wields a blade is going to basically bring death to the realms and drop the veil that has kept their country safe from the wraiths. And so it was outlawed that no woman could wield a blade. But all Thea wants is to be a warrior. She wants to fight. She wants to train. But obviously she's not allowed to do that. So she is an alchemist, hence the Alchemist's Vow. The main part of this that we kind of build up to is that she is given a blade and kind of the circumstances of how she gets this blade, which shapes her over the next 6 years and leads up into the events of Blood and Steel. It wasn't boring, but it was just a lot of setup, which is fine. I just already knew everything in here, so it never really completely gripped me because I already knew everything. It didn't give me any new information. We didn't really get to see much of the scene that I was hoping and thinking would be a good scene to get, but I still liked the writing. I actually think I might have liked Thea a little bit more in this one, strangely enough, but I still can't stand her sister. Ren is really obnoxious and overbearing. Anyway, like I said, enjoyed this. I don't really know what I would rate it. I guess a 4-star? I don't know. It was not really necessary, so I don't know what I would rate this. But now I can get to the submission form. Oh, there we go. Now I can get to the submission form. We're just going to put 60 pages. We're not going to get any page points for this one. 10 points for peace talks, increasing always. It'll be a popcorn read. It was a poll pick because the Patreons chose it. New to my TBR, and I read it in one sitting, so it's going to get 8 points. It was our cover color, so we're going to end up getting 28 points for shadows off of that little novella, which is not bad. And then for my next read, I'm not going to let the Patreons choose. Cassidy was on sprints, and she's been reading Heartless Hunter and was like, it's okay. She was having some problems with it. And I was like, dang, I was excited to try that one. And then she got to the second half and had the gall to say that it reminded her of the Aurelian Cycle meets Powerless. And I was like, done, sold, must read. So I'm going to be reading The Heartless Hunter next. This one's not particularly short. It's like 400 pages. However, I think it reads pretty quick because it is a young adult and it just tends to flow and read a little bit faster. So I think I'm gonna start this tonight. It's 9:15 and we have a little less than 24 hours to go in the readathon. So I'm gonna start it tonight, finish it off tomorrow. All of my plans tomorrow consist of reading, so we'll see what I end up getting done. I forgot the dust jacket in the living room, but I am now 100 pages into Heartless Hunter, and I'm enjoying this one so far. I think that going in with the right expectations that this is a young adult fantasy was a good thing because there are definitely things that I'm like, but I don't feel like it feels any more young adult than normal, if that makes sense. So it's not bothering me. There is a lot of like over-telling, over-explaining, which I do find to be pretty common in young adult books where the author just thinks that teenagers aren't going to be able to read between the lines, which is not accurate. I think right now we're just in a lot of setup mode. We're still kind of explaining where things are at, setting the stage, setting the characters. So at 100 pages in, I won't say that I'm like enamored with it. This is a world where witches are considered hated and horrible, and anytime you find one, you have to turn them in order for them to be sentenced to death, or you're considered a witch sympathizer. And Rune actually turned her grandmother in as a witch in order to essentially save herself. And so she's been seen as obviously not a witch sympathizer because she turned in her grandmother, so how could she possibly? But she's actually the Crimson Moth, whose job is to save witches. And then we have Gideon, who is one of the best witch hunters, and this is because of some things that happened in his past, but we don't really know a lot surrounding those circumstances, and things are going to happen that require them to try to seduce one another, but the other doesn't know why the other one's trying to seduce them. So it's a little bit of like enemies to lovers cat and mouse kind of situation, and I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. Like I said, I'm 100 pages in. It reads very, very quickly, so I'm planning to read a little bit more tonight. We have 30 minutes left of this sprint, and then I'm probably going to bed, so just however much I can get done in this next sprint, and then I should be able to finish it pretty quickly tomorrow, and I'm hoping to really love this one because the setup so far I'm enjoying. I flew through these last like 200 pages. It was just so addicting when we got to the second half. I would say it was probably about page 220 or so where I really started to feel like I was in it. The beginning part was fine. I was just a little bit bored because it was a lot of setup and a lot of like getting to know our characters and trying to hammer home that she was societal and he was hated witches and she was the moth and all of this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I get it, but that could have probably been toned down just a little bit. And then when they finally started opening up to one another and Rune stopped acting like a dumb bitch and Gideon stopped acting like a hard ass, things got a little bit better. Their banter was more natural and I don't know, the story just flowed better. But I wouldn't say that I was like in it until we got to around the 350 page mark. Those last 100 pages were stressful. They were a wild ride. You got to see the enemies to lovers. You got to feel heartbreak and the best friend. And I don't know, the ending was just so good and so much fun. It does end on a little bit of a cliffhanger. So like now I'm so upset that I read it now and didn't wait because now I have to wait a whole year for the next book to know what happens. So anyway, I really enjoyed this book. If you don't mind young adult and you're okay with a little bit of a slow burn getting to the meat of the story, this book was so much fun and I would absolutely recommend it. I'm gonna give it a 4-star, and there were some like plot hole conveniences that I did notice, and she would try to kind of cover those up with like one sentence here and one sentence there, and for the most part she did, but there was just a lot of like telling me things, and as a general rule I don't love that, but I was invested enough in the rest of the story that it was an annoyance more than anything. So this was 403 pages. This is going to be getting us 20 points for page count. We did read it during Peace Talks, so that's 30 points. This was a Cassidy fave. She either gave it a 4 or a 5-star last night. It was a book I paid for. I feel like it's a popcorn read for sure. It is new to my TBR. Okay. Next up, I'm not really sure. I did give my patrons 3 more choices of what they want me to read. Right now, we're looking like it's either going to be Court of Blood and Bindings or Water's Wrath, but I want to give the poll just a little bit longer before I finalize that. So once they have decided, I'll come back, I'll let you guys know, and this will be my last read for Peace Talks. Hello, I'm coming to you from my laundry room. I have to do a lot of things. Like if I don't get some laundry done, then we're going to be going to work with no pants tomorrow, which unfortunately is frowned upon. So I need to get some laundry done, but I need to multitask because we can't stop reading just because we've got things to do. So patrons were given 3 choices, all of them audiobook, and they voted for Water's Wrath, which is the 4th book in the Air Awakens series, but I may ignore them. I didn't tell them that I was going to ignore them, but I may ignore them. You know how sometimes you put up polls and you don't know what you want to read, so you put up a poll, but then you put up the poll and you figure out what you want to read? I think that was me. I think that's what I did. And I think I want to go with the Court of Blood and Bindings instead. This one I briefly started a week or 2 ago and really enjoyed the magic system and everything in it, and then had to put it down for something required. I was enjoying it, so I think I'm going to restart that and I'm going to listen to it. And we're just not going to tell the patrons until this vlog comes out, and then please don't kill me. I'm ignoring your vote. Okay, thanks. So there's nothing like doing laundry and end up snorting at your book in the middle of putting pants into the washing machine. I've listened to A Court of Blood and Bindings. I don't think I told you guys what this book was about. Basically, we have a world where the Fae take over and suppress the humans, and there is this one guy called the Silent Death who does all of this for the Mother, and the Mother is the like Fae queen that is suppressing all of the humans. And then we have our female main character, and she is able to do magic, but she's always had to suppress that magic because her father and her mother are like, no, you're never going to get a suitor if you show the magic. You can't do that. And basically magic in this world is color-based. In order to do magic, you have to pull color from something, and the more colorful or the bigger something is, the more powerful the magic, and each different colors do different things. And only Fae have magic, but she's been told that it was just her great aunt and it passed down to her. One day day, the Silent Death and his armies come, they massacre the village, or so she thinks, and then she realizes that she is not who she thought she was, and she has to go to the Fae Kingdom with the Silent Death. But in order to keep her safe, because she is the last one that is able to overthrow the queen, they make a bargain where he will protect her as long as she does not get herself into danger, and she will help overthrow the Fae Queen and help save humanity. But they're having this conversation about this bargain, and it's the standard, you know, when you make a bargain with the Fae, they can't break it kind of conversation. And she's like, what did she say? Something about sharing his bed, and she was like, you didn't even offer me the couch like a gentleman. He was like, well, if you're on the couch, then it's gonna hurt the roost, so you have to sleep in the bed with me. And he was like, don't worry, I'm not going to, something about taking advantage of her or something like that. And she was like, I would rather fuck a cactus. And he goes, let me know how it is when you do. And I died. I don't know if it's even that funny or if you just had to listen to it, but like I literally started cackling. It was great. Hello friends, I am currently 50% into A Court of Blood and Bindings, and I'm having a really good time with this one. I definitely feel like I have lost a little of my energy, but I'm still really enjoying this book. When I told you guys, I think I was around 20%, and I will say that probably from the 20 to 45% mark, it did lull a little bit, where I just felt like not as much was really happening. We were learning a lot, but I'm excited for the plot to pick back up again. They just found this labyrinth thing, and I'm very curious to know more about that. There is still romance brewing, but it's definitely slow burn. They don't even kiss until the 50th% mark, and that's out of necessity. I'm enjoying that slow burn aspect of it. The banter is still there. They don't banter quite as much, but when they do, it is great. And I'm just having a really good time with it so far. So I'm excited to continue reading this. I should be able to finish it before the readathon ends in my time zone, and right now it's feeling like a win. I'm really having a good time. So this is not really much of an update, but I will say that about 40% I switched from the audiobook to the ebook, and I am liking this better, I think, on ebook than I did audiobook. The audio wasn't bad, but she definitely has a very strong English accent, and I don't know, there was just something about it that I wasn't vibing with as much. It almost felt a little more Regency than the book actually reads, and I think that their banter is coming across a lot better in the physical book, because I had felt like we lost a little bit of that around 20-30%, but now it's definitely back. And I don't know whether that was audiobook or whether that was just me like zoning out occasionally, but I am liking it better on the physical book. And their relationship is just so cute. They banter, but they also respect one another. And I like that he is like this stone cold killer when he's not really talking to her, but when he's talking to her, he is much softer while also not being like too mushy-gushy. I don't know. It's great. I'm having a fantastic time. You guys, 5 stars. 5 stars. I had such a fun time with this book. I think that this is a unique twist on fae and magic, and still has those core inspirations and core tropes that we love so much, but just so much freaking fun. I loved the character growth that our characters had throughout this. I liked their relationship and their banter, combined with moments where I was like, oh my god, my heart is melting. And I liked I liked it. It was great. I had a fun time. Yeah, there were a couple of things that I was like, maybe that didn't make the most sense, or maybe I wish that that had been done a different way. This just, it was so much fun, and I would absolutely recommend it if you like the one bed trope, if you want fae, if you like a cool magic system, if you like banter, if you like a little bit of a rebellion plot, just like melt for you moments in their relationship. It was just, oh, so good. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to continue on in this series. I immediately went and put the next book in the series on my wish list, and I did notice that there was a prequel to this that was like 200 pages, and honestly, I probably would have started with that for Peace Talks if I had known about it, but I didn't know about it. So Peace Talks has officially come to a close, and we need to submit our final book. It was 436 pages, so we got an extra 20 points in page count. Then we get 10 points for it being part of Peace Talks. And then for our points, we get a 5-star read. We get a 5-star read. Yes, it is a book that I paid for. It was a popcorn read. For me, pretty much all romantasy is popcorn reads. It's just so easy to fly through them. New to TBR, new-ish. It's probably been within the last like month or two that I got this book. I did read it in multiple formats, and I think that that's everything. So I got a 16 more points for a total of 34 points, and then it is a black cover. It does not have a school setting. It does not have a cover item. I will calculate all of my points based off of every book that I've read, and I will leave it down here for you guys. I don't know what it is just off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to do that as editing Mel, but I think as far as I'm aware, it was a super successful weekend. I did not have anything less than a 4-star read all weekend long. I don't know what mojo blessed me. I don't know what readathon gods were looking down on me this weekend, but I did not have anything less than a 4-star, and it was absolutely incredible. Such a good weekend, so much fun. So yeah, I have found a new series that I cannot wait to continue. I've actually found many new series that I cannot wait to continue, and it was just a blast. It was a blast. I had a great time. Well, thank you all for hanging out with me all weekend long. If you have missed my most latest realmathon video, I will leave that here for you guys. Please leave me a heart that is the color of your team, because color magic, down in the comments below. As always, links to my Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads are all in the description box. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!